You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Today, we give you some tips to stay safe during this dangerous weather, including how to prepare your car and how to drive on these icy roads.
And that's exactly what they are, Tanya. Live look outside of 7th and Range Line, where the freezing rain continues to dominate the southern portion of the 4 states, including Joplin. The latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And there's a new kind of church taking place. It's not where you think it is. It's in the metaverse instead of in a physical church. All that and more coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thanks for joining us for the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach. Compared to our last few snows, this one is going to have a much bigger impact on the area. The number one recommendation is to stay safe is to simply stay at home. However, if you do have to be out, there are things you can do. Rick Nixon with Nixon's Garage says the first thing you should do is check your antifreeze and make sure it's a strong enough mix to protect your car from the lower temperatures. The second thing is to make sure your tire pressures are good. He says to follow what's listed on the driver door panel for appropriate pressures for your car. Nixon says there's other things you can take into consideration.
I would be thinking about something to scrape the windows with. Let's get those nice and clean. We want to look at maybe our wiper blades, make sure we got wiper blades that are going to help keep it clean. And of course, we want to make sure our defrost is working to help keep, again, visibility, keep that windshield clean.
Nixon adds, when it comes to your tires, all season or winter rated tires are best for this kind of weather. Well, now that you've got your car ready to go, what about when you're actually on the road? A driving instructor from the Alliance of Southwest Missouri offered some tips to steer you in the right direction. As we mentioned, of course, that top tip is to simply not go out. But if you are, Mark Buck says it's essential to have a full tank of gas. You also want to have warm clothing, food, and blankets. Box also says if you must drive, use a front wheel or four-wheel drive vehicle. Leave the rear wheel one at home. Also, he has a reminder about four-wheel drive.
Just another reminder, four-wheel drive does not mean that you can stop any quicker. So four-wheel drive is only when you're hitting the accelerator does this help you drive.
Box adds, if you do have to leave, make sure you leave early so you can drive safely and arrive at your destination on time. Area departments of transportation are getting ready to treat the roads to keep them safe. KDOT says they have more than 100 trucks throughout the district ready to go. Officials say they did not begin treating the roads until the rain stopped so that it didn't get washed away. Now, KDOT does have staff shortages in some places, but officials say they will be ready to go regardless.
Well, make sure the trucks are in working order, that they're fixed, and that they're all in working order. And if they go on standby, some of them may go home earlier in the day so they can come back and start their shifts. And they just know that they monitor the weather conditions and to determine, to stay in readiness.
MoDOT's also dealing with short staffing. Officials say they plan to have workers on 12-hour shifts to get the job done. They want to remind drivers to stay away from trucks as they're working to make their jobs easier. MoDOT also planned to wait until after the rain to treat the roads.
When you get rain to start with, that hurts our ability to put something down and leave it on the road in preparation of the snow and break the bond. But that doesn't mean we won't put some down. Other challenges, traffic is a massive challenge for us.
The city of Neosho says it's prepared for winter weather. City officials say all of their trucks are ready for snow removal and their salt brine truck is up and ready to fight back against ice accumulations on the roads.
I feel it's very important. Without the transportation routes, things don't move. Shipping's not been made available. Emergency vehicles aren't able to get to where they need to go. Public Works is typically the group that's working in the background, but we take our job very seriously and we've got great.
If needed, crews are prepared to work 2 nonstop rotations of 12-hour shifts until roads are drivable. Captain Kirk is not the only one boldly going where no man has gone before. NASA revealed this image taken by the Hubble Space Telescope. They say it shows a galactic pair near a third galaxy, and any Star Trek fan will probably recognize the shape they make. Can you? The two galaxies in the upper right appear to be interacting with one another, and together they resemble the famous starship on Star Trek, the USS Enterprise. It does, yeah. It was just one of two epic photographs taken by the Hubble. NASA also released this photo of an area of space where stars are formed. They call it the Chameleon Cloud Complex and say the bright blue glow is created by young stars reflecting off the surrounding nebula. Wait a minute. Maybe it is the USS Enterprise.
And back to what?
Waiting. 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 There we go.
All right, left-hand side of your screen, Tanya, I want to reiterate what you were talking about with the snow plows and everything. Make sure you give them plenty of room. Basically, take a live look outside of 7th and Range Line. We see one of them there, staging in the parking lot area. Remember, it takes them a while to slow down. So when you creep up to an intersection, and I stress the word creep, take it slow. If you see one of them coming, make sure you try to give them the right of way so they can get through and get their job done. Remember to also KOAMnewsnow.com, your one-stop resource for closings of organizations, government entities, businesses, and perhaps most importantly on this Wednesday morning, schools, Pittsburgh State and Missouri Southern, both taking the day off for safety reasons. And you can find out if your district or your business or your organization is open for today. Let's remove the satellite cover because we get a little bit better idea here. It's mainly I want to focus in on our purple areas because that is an indicator of the rain-snow mix that has dominated portions of I-44 from Miami up to Joplin all morning long. We're already seeing close to a quarter inch of ice accumulation throughout roads in southwest Missouri, and now it's adding onto it in northeast Oklahoma. It is starting to fall down to the south of I-44 in between Joplin and Springfield, so at least that's a step in the right direction. But also, too, I-49 from the 44-49 exchange up through Carthage, we're seeing additional freezing rain as well. Get up to the north, we're already sitting at about 4 inches of snowfall since this morning when it started. 4 inches. And we've got a long way to go because it's going to snow all the way into tomorrow. We are part of 90 million people throughout the United States right now in the midst of either a winter storm warning or a winter storm watch. And so to give you an idea about what we've got cooking here is through the afternoon hours. Eventually the freezing rain does manage to fall down to the south, but the snow, it does not, even with a little afternoon break. Watch this thing revamp and re-roll from our west all the way into Thursday morning. So really our snowfall totals that we anticipated to begin even before it started falling really haven't changed that much. Still going to go 6 to 10 inches for the majority of the 4 states in the darker blue, anywhere from 8 to 12 up to the northeast, and that actually extends all the way into central Missouri. This is an impressive storm, that is for sure. 7-day forecast with that winter storm warning lasting all the way until Friday, and really not being able to melt at all because our overnight lows dropping down to single digits and our daily highs, no, really not staying consistently above freezing until we get to next week.
Yeah, we'll be looking forward to that, getting above 32 degrees and starting melting.
Can we go to spring? Actually, can we just go back 48 hours when it was almost 70 degrees?
Or yesterday morning in the 50s.
55?
Yeah, we're driving
I'll
in
take
the
it.
calm before the storm. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, up next, the youngest group of Americans could be the next group to become eligible for the Pfizer vaccine. We'll have the details. And later, Roland Emmerich of Independence Day fame brings a new movie to big screen called Moonfall. We're going to give you an inside look at this film. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14.
It's the
New pediatric cases of COVID-19 dropped last week for the first time since early December, but they remain high, over 100,000 for 25 consecutive weeks. Now Pfizer's vaccine may be available in March to help offer protection to the youngest Americans. CBS's Bradley Blackburn has details on the shots and how many parents will be lining their kids up on day one.
The youngest Americans may soon be eligible for a COVID-19 vaccine.
Absolutely.
we'll be there.
Jamie Gates was excited to hear that Pfizer is seeking emergency authorization for its vaccine for children 6 months to 4 years old.
Whatever we can do to make it a little bit safer and have a little bit more normal life.
Her 2-year-old son Damon has asthma and was recently infected with COVID. She thinks the vaccine would have helped.
I don't know if he would have gotten sick or not, but I really think that he wouldn't have gotten as sick as he did.
Approval could come by March. Pfizer says the dosage is a tenth of the amount given to adults. 2 to 4-year-olds may need a third shot to be fully immunized.
Virtually all vaccines given to children now are given in 2, 3, and even up to 5 doses. So this is not unusual.
According to a survey from the Kaiser Family Foundation, 31% of parents will get their child vaccinated right away. That's up from 20% in July.
There's a rush to
Parent and preschool teacher Savannah Keogh wants to wait and see.
But I am looking forward to when I am comfortable and when I can protect my young child.
Georgia Tech scientist MG Finn says that should be as soon as it's approved.
And it will not be approved for this age group until and unless the data shows that it is safe and efficacious.
There are about 19 million children in the U.S. under 5. More than 1.5 million have tested positive for the virus. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News.
In that Kaiser survey, 26% of parents say they definitely will not have their kids vaccinated. 29% want to wait and see, and 12% only if it's a requirement. Well, a new study shows melatonin use is up in the U.S. and overuse could be a problem. The report in the medical journal JAMA indicates Americans took more than twice the amount in 2018 than a decade earlier. The National Institutes for Health says taking melatonin for jet lag, overnight shifts, or occasional sleeplessness is fine, but high levels of use are linked to dementia, early mortality, and other health complications. The FDA does not regulate the pills, so they could have harmful additives or more melatonin than indicated. Some frank heart-to-heart talk about not getting hearts or gifts for Valentine's Day. A YouGov.com poll says almost 20% of Americans are okay with not getting gifts for Valentine's Day. The poll was taken January 24th from more than 19,000 people in different areas of the country. But people are not skipping all heart flutter. 33% would like a card. 29% would like a nice dinner out, and that includes 23% of men saying wine and dine me, and 28% overall say chocolates or candy are sweet. And if you're watching, yes, I want all of that. I think you know that.
Yeah, okay, I got another for you on Valentine's Day. I'm trying to
Michael is so romantic.
I know.
Here we go.
I'm
He's got nothing for you on Valentine's Day.
I am so dropping the ball on this story because I'm frantically searching for the latest snow totals from airports, and I heard you were talking about Valentine's Day and cards, and I'm like, God, I hope she doesn't want me to
He wants the little candy hearts that say things like "snow away" instead of "go away," or I don't know.
Yeah, they got it up to 5 inches now, up in the northern portion of the 4 states. Is that what we're gonna do? We're gonna come up with bad puns for Valentine's Day cards?
Hey. If it was like this for Valentine's Day, you could just send him a card that said, "Baby, it's cold outside."
That'd be good.
There you go.
I don't know. I figure if you were going to feed me something like this on a Valentine's Day, I'd pretty much be like, good night to stay in and watch a movie.
Oh yeah.
Could go with that.
There you go.
All right, now we got freezing rain in Tulsa. I promise I was listening to the Valentine's Day story. I was.
Yeah.
Well, kind of.
You don't have to lie. It's okay.
Well, I mean, it wasn't a complete lie. Hey, Washington's NFL team is going to be the Commanders. That's right. I
thought that was just a rumor.
I am breaking
Is it official?
sports news while I'm breaking weather news.
Is it official, the Commanders?
Yes.
Nice.
How about that?
It was a rumor. Now it's official.
All right.
The Washington
Now I'm on the
Commanders.
weather. I think the key factor about this shot, Tanya, this is mile marker 4 on I-44, so just 4 miles into Missouri off the Oklahoma state line. While everybody's taking it nice and slow, look at the lack of traffic. We're talking about 7:15.
It's like only semis.
I know. But it gives you an indicator that people are taking this seriously as well. and trying to stay off the roads. And if you can kind of heed their advice, if you don't believe Tanya and I, maybe you can take a look at that picture and know that if 44 is not packed right now, it's a good indicator of kind of how treacherous it can be out there. And here's what we've got. Speaking of 44, we'll zoom in on that area that we're talking about in particular, and you can tell right outside of Downstream Casino, pushing in through Joplin, we still have the wintry mix, those two dreaded words that involves freezing rain coming down sideways too because of the strong wind, and we're looking at anywhere from about 1/4 inch of ice accumulation. That's some impressive ice, all things considered. And then as you move up to the north, up to 3.5 to 4 inches of snow already. As far as what we're going to have for the duration of our morning, this is going to persist. We've got multiple accident reports from all 4 of our states. It started way before sunrise, really before we even started the 5 a.m. hour. We had people that were sliding off roads. It's been an extremely busy day for police, sheriff, and highway patrol officers. Here's Future Track. We get an afternoon break, but then we're right back at it for tonight into Thursday morning, and that's why our accumulation numbers really haven't budged. We're going to keep that 6 to 10 inches for the dark blue, and anywhere from 8 to 12 up in the northeastern portion. That's a combination of sleet and snow in a 7-day forecast with single-digit lows headed into the weekend. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.
We know
there's an epic movie-going experience courtesy of Roland Emmerich that lands in theaters this week. We've got a preview of Moonfall with the writer, director, and some of his out-of-the-world cast. Here's Ashley Dvorkin.
You're the unidentified source?
Oh, yes.
Halle Berry, Patrick Wilson, and John Bradley star as a trio on a mission to save humanity when the moon is knocked off its orbit in Moonfall.
When you sign on to an epic space movie, what is the wish list checklist that goes through your mind from space training to space suits? What is that?
Yeah.
And what did you get to do?
I remember when I got the movie, and it's 2 things. I thought, man, it would be so cool to ride in the Vomit Comet that we've all heard about. Seriously, growing up in Florida, you know, it's like I remember the space shuttle race and watching all the shuttles go off. Yeah, that would have been really exciting to do. Next to that, yeah, I mean, being in the cockpit, a real cockpit was certainly very cool, but it's also like playing a video game.
Is it safe to say you are a fan of large-scale productions from this, Game of Thrones, but very different experiences?
Very different experiences, and I am a fan of large scale productions and huge epic VFX shows and all those kind of action set pieces and sequences. But all the ones that I love the most have got human stories at the very heart of them.
And it's a sci-fi thrill ride courtesy of Independence Day and Day After Tomorrow writer-director Roland Emmerich.
I had always like kind of this vision, you know, when you fly inside the moon, all bets are off. Because they are, in a weird way, all off, because nobody knows how the moon looks inside. That was like, for me, you know, a highlight.
In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
Be back with this morning's 4-state hero right after this.
Indigo. It's time to honor today's 4-state hero, Ted Lewis Sr. The petty officer, second class, served with the Navy from October of 1967 to November 1970. Petty officer, second class Ted Lewis Sr. served in Vietnam with the MCB 12862, known as the Seabees. Among his many medals, he earned a Combat Action Ribbon with 1 star, the Vietnam Service Medal with 2 stars, plus Fleet Marine Combat Insignia, and the Vietnam Presidential Unit Citation Ribbon. His hometown, Carthage, Missouri. We thank you, today's 4-state hero, Ted Lewis Sr. The Metaverse is an online platform where people can use virtual reality headsets to transport themselves to any realm they wish, including church. Jackie Ibanez has more on the rise of digital worshiping in the Metaverse.
I believe the future of the church is the metaverse.
A growing number of people are turning to the metaverse for their religious services as folks pop on virtual reality headsets and partake in digital church.
Let me have someone read
verses 19 through 21.
But just because it's virtual doesn't mean it's less interactive than going to a physical house of worship. If anything, VR church participants say it enhances their religious experience.
I was able to see a rendering of the verse I was reading, which made scripture much more meaningful for me.
And it's so much more than scripture readings. Baptisms are also taking place in the metaverse.
The rebirth that you got through Jesus Christ. Do you want this?
Yes, I do. Absolutely.
Yes. I baptize you now.
But this kind of worshiping isn't just for the tech savvy. Founders say it's helping enhance the lives of people who can't physically attend a church. People like Alina Delp, who was diagnosed with a chronic illness that's confined her to her home.
Suddenly you're empowered again. Suddenly you matter again. Suddenly you're human again.
But can church services originally intended to be done in person really be accomplished online? Some aren't so sure.
Jesus says, when 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, I am there. And Christian theologians have not yet grappled with what that means when they're gathered in digital spaces.
Supporters of metaverse worship say it's people, not a physical building, that embodies a church. Jackie Ibanez, Fox News.
Another half hour of news and weather is just ahead. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14, more banned books are being brought to the spotlight. First it was Moss, and now it's a Toni Morrison book. Stick with us. We'll have reactions from both sides of the controversy. And after a long career in the NFL, Tom Brady this time officially, announces his retirement at the age of 44. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. We'll be right back.
When it comes to
the 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's currently 7:30. Let's take a look at today's top stories. A man faces murder charges after the bodies of his girlfriend and 2 other people were found buried in northeast Oklahoma. Court documents show 61-year-old Robert Edwin Lewis of Stillwell faces 3 first-degree murder charges. Authorities found the bodies of his girlfriend Deanna Tippie of Cherokee County, Oklahoma, and Quinley Lamb and Brian Shackelford from Sharp County, Arkansas on Friday and Saturday. The discovery came after Lamb's brother and Lewis's ex-girlfriend reported that they had found one body on land owned by Lewis in Cherokee County, Oklahoma. Court documents do not list an attorney who could speak on Lewis's behalf. Well, you've got your car ready to go. What about when you're actually on the road? A driving instructor from the Alliance of Southwest Missouri offered some tips to steer you in the right direction. But if you are, Mark Bach says it's essential to have a full tank of gas. You'll also want to have warm clothes, food, and blankets. Box also said if you must drive, use a front wheel or 4-wheel drive vehicle. He also has a reminder about 4-wheel drive.
Just another reminder, 4-wheel drive does not mean that you can stop any quicker. So 4-wheel drive is only when you're hitting the accelerator does this help you drive.
Box adds if you do have to leave, make sure you leave early so you can drive safely and arrive at your destination on time. MoDOT is dealing with staffing shortages, and officials say they plan to have workers on 12-hour shifts to get the job done. They want to remind drivers to stay away from trucks as they are working to make their jobs easier. MoDOT also planned to wait until after the rain to treat the roads.
When you get rain to start with, that hurts our ability to put something down and leave it on the road in preparation of the snow and break the bond. But that doesn't mean we won't put some down. Other challenges, traffic is a massive challenge for us.
City of Neosho said it was prepared for winter weather. City officials say all of their trucks were ready for snow removal and their salt brine truck was up and ready to fight back against ice accumulations on the roads.
I feel it's very important. Without the transportation routes, things don't move. Shipping's not been made available. Emergency vehicles aren't able to get to where they need to go. Public Works is typically the group that's working in the background, but we take our job very seriously and we've got great.
If needed, crews are prepared to work 2 nonstop rotations of 12-hour shifts until the roads are drivable. Hormel unveiled its chili cheesecake just in time for the Super Bowl, and fans have a chance to win it. I want this. The company says it's a fully functioning half-barrel keg that can hold up to 15 gallons of dip. The keg features a tap handle shaped like a chili can, a pump to pour out the dip, and an adjustable internal heating element to keep the dip from getting cold. Hormel has set up a sweepstakes page, HormelChiliCheeseCake.com, where people have until February 6th to enter to win it. So this is just the cheese in this keg, right, Michael?
How does it come out of the tap?
Well, I'm thinking it's just the cheese, because chili would be awkward to come out of a tap. But
You got to buy the Hormel chili?
you probably.
I like Hormel.
Or do they mix it together? Do they mix it? Go ahead and mix it together.
Not as good as Wava's homemade chili. Guarantee you that much.
I'm gonna make some chili for the Super Bowl.
That was me like doing this to Wava, being
Like,
like, if
Wava,
you,
you wanna
like,
make
if you
some
want to whip
chili?
up some chili, I can come down and eat.
Because Michael will eat chili if it's 90 degrees out.
I told Tanya, as a matter of fact, we were talking about that yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Tanya said it's going to be nice and cold, good day for chili. I said, I tell you what, you make good chili, any day's a good day for chili.
Well, speaking of chili for the Super Bowl, if you're looking for a place to get chili so you don't have to cook it yourself, Memorial Auditorium in Pittsburgh.
That's right.
SEK Humane
SEK
Society is
Humane
going to
Society.
be making like 600.
Jasmine telling us
Pounds
that's
of it.
their largest
Yeah.
fundraiser of the year, right?
Yeah, this is a huge fundraiser for them.
And what you should do is you should join Tanya and I for the Polar Plunge on that Saturday, and then warm up and get some chili from the SEK Humane Society on Sunday.
Ooh, I'm already cold.
Notice how I just voluntold you that you'd be there?
Oh,
No, we love the Polar Plunge.
Thank goodness it's not this weekend.
I'm gonna text Chris Moore later and
Whee!
and be like, I don't know if I could have done this, man. Here's a live look over 7th and Rangeline. We are starting to get a little bit better with our freezing rain, but our temperatures will continue to fall. Now, barely holding on to the 20s up to the north. Everybody's squarely in that 20-degree range. And when I say we're getting a little bit better, we're starting to lose the purple that would indicate the freezing rain, the majority of that being ice. We're still seeing it, though, in between Joplin and Carthage. That's going to be for 44 and 49. We've got multiple reports of accidents, slide-offs throughout all 4 of our states. Need everybody to just take it slow. And if you don't have to leave, don't leave. Quite frankly, I'm just going to say that. But we are seeing the snow now transition into Newton County, where we've got mainly snow in Neosho compared to the freezing rain that we had earlier. And so if we can make this transition here, it will get just a little bit better. But remember, we are part of 90 million Americans that are under a winter storm warning for today. Of course, you can always go to your Department of Transportation websites. There's a look at mile marker number 4, I-44, absolutely covered. When we talk about our coverage as far as our highways go, Missouri, especially as you move up to the north, that purple indicating fully covered roads. We'll see the same thing throughout Kansas. And KOAMNewsNow.com, your one-stop resource for closings, whether it be organizations, churches, activities, businesses, and of course, schools. As we push through today, we'll get an afternoon break from our snow, but then we're going to be right back at it. As a matter of fact, I got a new storm report that just came in out of Montgomery County. Give you an update there. That was 1 inch at 7 o'clock. That's going to end up being about 5 to 6 inches by the time we get to Thursday morning. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.
Winter weather can be unpredictable, but you can...
Latest report coming in from Emergency Management in Bourbon County. Fort Scott roads iced over right now. So 69 and 54, those 2 highways in particular, running through Fort Scott, headed toward Nevada, down toward Pittsburgh, or up toward Kansas City. Knew that is what you're going to run into. This morning on the KOAM News Now Instapoll, discussing 18-year-olds being able to drive semis over state lines because of supply chain issues that have been going on for months. Department of Transportation with a new idea, wanting to allow 18-year-olds to drive trucks over those state lines because current law says you have to be 21 to do so. Our question to you is, should that be allowed? And 63% of you say, no, supply chain, sorry. You say no, 18-year-olds should not be allowed to cross those state lines. A couple days ago, we told you about a school in Tennessee and its unanimous vote to remove the graphic novel Mouse from its curriculum. This time it's a little closer to home, as the school district in Wentzville, Missouri, by St. Louis, voted to remove a Toni Morrison novel from its library. Here are some of the reactions from both sides of this controversy.
If you're trying to get your hands on a book by Toni Morrison, most are available at Left Bank Books, except for The Bluest Eye.
The best way to get people to read a book is to ban it.
Left Bank Books owner says that every time a book is banned, sales go up for that specific book, and that is no different with The Bluest Eye.
It's not the way we like to have our sales, but it definitely does spur sales.
This comes after the Wentzville School District voted 4-3 in January to remove The Bluest Eye from the district's high school libraries. Concerned parents say the 1970 novel is not suitable for kids and contains graphic sexual violence.
The district's definitely receiving some feedback in terms of that particular decision.
Superintendent Dr. Curtis Kane didn't dive deep about his thoughts on the ban, but he understands the importance of what's going on.
I do believe that it is important that if we have families that have questions about any title on any of our shelves, there are processes that can be utilized. We'll continue to piece together and put together plans as we're moving forward. I can't say that there's a change of policy on the horizon, but it's definitely been a source of conversation. I can promise you the district's very much aware of that fact.
As far as what comes next, the ACLU of Missouri is considering a lawsuit against Wentzville, and Left Bank Books owner is also taking action. Starting Tuesday, the Left Bank Books Foundation is accepting donations in order to give away The Bluest Eye for free.
That particular book is such an important work by a Nobel Prize winner in literature that honestly and thoughtfully addresses racism and sexual abuse. To think that kids aren't exposed to or perhaps haven't experienced these things directly themselves, and that you're in some way protecting them by denying their access to reading about it is just foolish.
Wentzville School District, just one of many to recently ban books from being assigned, taught, or being available in schools. The American Library Association said a reported 273 books were the subject of attempted censorship in 2020 alone, the majority of which centered on issues of race, gender, and sexuality. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.
Welcome to Sonic.
The Great Resignation continues. Millions of Americans continue to quit their jobs and look for something better. Michael George explains.
Eliza Benson worked as a health aide for many years, but when her father died during the pandemic, she made some big changes. Benson left her job, moved with her kids from a city apartment into her mother's suburban home, and went back to school.
My mom needed companionship. I figured, why not take advantage of the opportunity and better ourselves, move the kids to a better environment.
4.3 million people quit jobs in December, down slightly from November's record high of 4.5 million. Workers are leaving positions at restaurants and in manufacturing.
People are clearly confident that they can get other jobs.
CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger says that's because the latest report shows employers are looking to fill 10.9 million job openings. Higher pay, better benefits, are those the ways we're going to fill those jobs?
You know, it's like the old law of supply and demand. I need workers. You know how I get workers? I offer them a reason to come.
Education is one of many industries that need workers, and not just teachers. One Arkansas school district has a shortage in the cafeteria.
We have about 150 employees in our student nutrition department. There was one point last week where we were down about 42.
Benson quit her job to get a master's degree and plans to become a social worker.
I think what attracts me to it is just the ability to be there for somebody.
A job that allows her to support others and her family at the same time. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
Fox Show. We'll be right back with more after this, but first, let's take a look at the market prices before the opening bell.
Vehicle prices are the highest.
Just in case you hadn't heard, one of the greatest NFL quarterbacks of all time hanging up his jersey, 44-year-old Tom Brady, announcing officially the news on social media, saying the future is exciting. Here's Andy Scholes with more.
Just like he did so many times in 22 seasons, Tom Brady's retirement kept us on the edge of our seats. But Brady ending the drama Tuesday morning, making it official. In a lengthy Instagram post, the 7-time Super Bowl champion saying in part, "This is difficult for me to write, but here it goes. I am not going to make that competitive commitment anymore. I have loved my NFL career, and now it is time to focus my time and energy on other things that require my attention." And for so many years, his opponents must have longed to see the back of him, but now that he's gone, they certainly miss him. The tributes started flooding in. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell saying Brady inspired fans in New England, Tampa, and around the world with one of the greatest careers in NFL history. It has been a privilege to watch him compete and have him in the NFL. Bucs head coach Bruce Arians saying, "Tom joined us as the greatest football player of all time, and he quickly showed everyone in the organization what that meant." Patriots owner Robert Kraft adding, "Words cannot describe the feelings I have for Tom Brady, nor adequately express the gratitude my family, the New England Patriots, and our fans have for Tom for all he did during his career." And while the Patriots and Kraft thanked Brady for all he did, Brady failed to mention the team or Patriots fans in his lengthy retirement post, despite thanking everyone in Tampa.
This is all the talk right now in Boston, not to be, whiny New England guy, but he released a 9-page, retirement statement on Instagram thanking the Bucs, the trainers, his teammates, the city of Tampa, his agents, his trainer. Not one mention of the Patriots or Bill Belichick or Robert Kraft, and everyone up here is like, what the heck? What's with the snub?
Brady later posting on Twitter, "Thank you, Patriots Nation. I'm beyond grateful. Love you all." And nobody noticed when Brady entered the league as a 6th-round draft pick in 2000, but through his extraordinary work ethic, he retires as the most decorated champion of all time. He holds many records, including most passing yards and passing touchdowns. There were some bumps along the way, most noticeably Deflategate, when the Patriots were accused of taking the air out of footballs during the 2014 AFC title game. Brady eventually served a 4-game suspension in 2016 for violating NFL policy on the integrity of the game. Brady, though, ended that season with the greatest comeback in Super Bowl history, beating the Falcons to win the 5th of his record 7 Super Bowl titles. In sports, we celebrate our champions and cherish our underdogs, and no athlete in history has personified both more than Tom Brady.
Tom Brady joining Peyton Manning as only starting quarterbacks in NFL history to win a Super Bowl with multiple teams. Carrie behind the camera not believing this story. She says that we'll be doing it again next year. Evidently, she is on board with Brett Favre. Tom Brady turning out to pull Brett Favre on us and retiring 18 different times. Because it seems like we've talked about the announcement quite frequently. Here we are outside of Television City. We've got snow coming down sideways here at the Homestead and over 7th and Rangeline. Similar situation. Our road crews have done yeoman's work already, making sure that get the best we can. If you don't have to be out, it's not worth it because of the ice accumulation that we've already built up overnight into the early morning hours. Temperatures continue to drop. We're down to 19 in Iola, and so those low 20s that you see up to the north will continue throughout the afternoon to get down to about 16, 17 degrees. As far as what we're looking at precipitation-wise, majority of it has flipped over to snow. So that is a little relief now that we've been able to dispatch the purple out to the east and down to the south, because that was the freezing rain. That was a big problematic issue for this morning when you get the wintry mix. As long as we can keep it for snow for the rest of the day, things are looking a little bit better. Once again, there are 90 million Americans in the midst of either a winter storm warning or watch, and we can throw the entire 4-state highlighted counties in there. Remember, if you're curious about closings before you hit the road, all you have to do is go to KOAMnewsnow.com, KOAMnewsnow.com, and that will give you organizations, churches, government buildings, etc., and schools. Yes. I know it's a little late in the day to be talking about that, but yeah, if you're curious, you can jump on there. Also may want to check out tomorrow as well. Future track as we progress through today. Afternoon break from our snow, but we're far from being over because during the evening hours, we reload, come in from the southwest, and that carries us all the way through Thursday morning, and that's why I really haven't changed much on our accumulation numbers, anticipating by the time Thursday is said and done, 6 to 10 inches in the dark blue, 8 to 12 to the north. Remember, that's a combo of sleet and snow. Hopefully we're done with our sleet. And the reason it won't flip back over, because we're going to be so cold. We're actually not going to have consistent temperatures above the freezing mark until next week. We'll be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 right after this.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Here's what's happening today. A COVID vaccine could soon become available for children under 5. Yesterday, Pfizer asked the FDA for an emergency authorization of a low-dose shot that contains a tenth of the amount given to adults. If approved, the vaccines could be available within weeks. A gunman is in custody after a police officer and a security officer were shot dead on the campus of Bridgewater College in Virginia. The suspect was captured in a wooded area near the school. No word yet on a motive. And Tom Brady has made it official. The quarterback is retiring after a 22-year career in the NFL. 44-year-old was the New England Patriots' 6th-round draft choice in 2000. Brady led them to 6 Super Bowl victories before winning last year's title with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Let's check in with Michael with a final look at your forecast.
Temps in the 20s right now. We've transitioned mostly into snow. Freezing rain is pushed off to the east. Even our southern counties that look clear on the Skywatch Storm Tracker are going to end up with snow because, remember, after our afternoon break, we are right back at it. And this is what I was talking about down to the south. Watch how this secondary system rolls through right along south of I-44. Certainly does penetrate up to the north as well. And temperature is going to remain below the freezing point really until we get into next week and we can consistently be above 32.
Well, skiers and snowboarders are enjoying the winter weather, and so are some four-legged friends. Over the weekend, the North Star Avalanche rescue dogs were part of a safety demonstration in Truckee, California. The dogs are trained to find human scents underneath the snow. In case of an avalanche, that's a good skill. Officials with No Star Ski Patrol say finding humans comes naturally for the dogs.
I tried to teach a blue heeler the meaning of mush yesterday, just in case I needed her to get from point A to point B. She wasn't exactly having it. Can't say I didn't try.
My American Bulldogs just like to jump, so I don't think they would go forward.
Yeah,
They would just go.
The blue heeler was more enthralled with taking the leash and shaking it furiously.
Did you have it attached to something or just you?
She walks me. Let's call it a spade. She said, I love you. Thank you so much for letting us put the good in your morning. Back with more news and weather when we see you at noon.
Have a great morning and an even better day.
John's credit report